Hello and welcome to my channel where we make gourmet tasting cakes using a box mix. And today, to celebrate the holiday season, I am making something very peculiar. Part pie, part cake. We are making a pecan pie cake. So stick around while we make something boxed, but better. I'm going to start by lining all of my 3 8-inch round pans with a 9-inch round piece of parchment paper. Press the overlapping edges against each other on the sides. Don't worry, it does not have to be perfect. It will all come out well in the end. After I finish lining all 3 of my pans, I grease and flour the sides and then set it aside while I make my pie filling. For our pie filling, we are starting by putting 2 sticks of unsalted butter in a large microwave-safe bowl and heating it in 30-second intervals until completely melted. Next, we are adding 2 1/4 cups of packed brown sugar. Add 4 large eggs and give it a light mix for about 1 minute. It doesn't have to be perfect, we still have more ingredients to add. After giving it a light mix, add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Follow that up with 4 tablespoons of milk. Then 1 whole tablespoon of vanilla extract. Yes, 1 tablespoon. Believe me, it's going to taste amazing. Now it is time to mix this up all nice and beautiful before we add our pecans. I am adding 2 cups of chopped pecans to my mixture and saving a ½ cup of chopped pecans to use for decoration later. Pour your pie filling evenly into 3 8-inch round pans. I am using a 1 cup measuring cup and discovered that it takes about 1 3/4 cups to evenly fill all 3 pans. Now we are going to bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. For our cake batter, we are adding 1 box of white cake mix, 3 large eggs, 1 cup of milk, and a ½ cup of creamy Biscoff cookie butter. This will give us a nice pie crust sort of taste, which really brings together the full flavor of our pecan pie cake. Mix this until your batter becomes well incorporated. It will take about 2 minutes. Don't forget to scrape down the sides as needed to make sure that it all incorporates evenly. It looks absolutely beautiful and smells amazing. After 20 minutes, remove your pie filling from the oven and gently pour your cake batter on top. Once again, I am using my measuring cup to make sure that all the layers are even and discovered that it takes about 1 1/2 cups of cake batter to evenly distribute into all 3 pans. This does not have to be exact, but getting it close will help it to all bake evenly and at the same time. Take a moment to use your spatula to smooth out the batter until it is even and level, and then bake it in your oven for another 25 to 30 minutes. It has been 30 minutes and our cake layers are done. There are 2 ways to check to see if it is done. The first is the poke test. Poke with your finger, and if it does not leave an indent, you know it is done. The other is the toothpick test. Insert a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, we know it is done. Let these cool until they are still slightly warm. For our whipped cream icing, we are adding 2 cups of heavy whipping cream to a large mixing bowl, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 tablespoons of vanilla instant pudding mix. Then we whip this until our whipped cream becomes thick and forms stiff peaks. The instant pudding will help to stabilize the whipped cream and make it a lot easier to use while decorating. If you are at a beginner level of icing, you can add an extra tablespoon of pudding to help it to thicken even more and make it easier to decorate with. For this step, you want your layers to be cool enough to handle but still warm to the touch. This will make it a lot easier to peel off your parchment paper. You're going to need a gentle hand and a lot of patience, and just gently go around the edges and loosen them up. Once you've loosened the edges, gently and slowly pull the parchment paper off of what is now the top layer of the cake. It should peel easily from the top of the pie filling. However, if you notice some pie filling is getting stuck to your parchment, just use your finger to gently pull it away and push it back down onto your cake. If you let your cake cool too much when you do this step, it will get stuck to your parchment paper. If this happens, just stick your layer in the microwave for about a minute until it warms up, and then give it a try again. You can see the distinction between the pie filling and the cake, very similar to a pineapple upside down cake. Now don't worry about this part looking perfect because it will be the middle of the layer, so even if it does peel up a little, it's going to taste great. Now this step is optional. I'm adding some whipped cream in between my layers. You don't have to do this part. You can just stack the cake layers straight on top of each other since the pie filling acts as a cake filling already. I'm just really obsessed with whipped cream. Now I will point out that I did not wait for my cake layers to completely cool when I did this step, so you can see it's a little bit wiggly because the whipped cream was getting soft. Be sure to let your layers cool all the way if you are going to do whipped cream in the middle. If you do add whipped cream between your layers, you will need to freeze it for 5 to 10 minutes until your whipped cream is frozen after you add your top layer. Because as you notice, the whipped cream does make it very jiggly. Freezing it for a few minutes will help to stabilize your cake while you give it your final coat of icing. The technique I'm using to ice this cake is to add a large dollop of icing on the top and then slowly push it to the edges until it starts to fall. Once it falls over the edge, you then catch it with your butter knife or decorator spatula and smooth it to the sides of your cake. This technique is great to use anytime you work with a soft, runny, or light textured icing. Repeat this process all the way around your cake until it is fully iced. Be sure to do the side-to-side wave with your decorator spatula or butter knife so that you push your icing at a 45-degree angle instead of dragging it. Once your cake is fully covered in a thick layer of whipped icing, go around it one time with your butter knife to smooth out the sides, and ice from the outside edges inward to help smooth out the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look fabulous once we get the decorations on it. This decorating technique is easy and fun. All you need is a fork. Using your fork, you are going to do a line from the top to the bottom of the cake, alternating between vertical and horizontal stripes. Once you have finished a row from the top to the bottom of your cake, go next to that row and do the same exact pattern in opposite form, now alternating between horizontal and vertical stripes. Continue this alternating pattern all the way around your cake. This will result in what we call a basket weave pattern technique. Now that I have finished my simple basket weave technique, I am adding the other half cup of chopped pecans to the bottom of the cake. I am piping a simple line around the cake to help guide me when I do my border. This is optional, it just kind of helps me to not be too terribly crooked because hey, I'm not perfect. For the border, I am holding my bag at a 45-degree angle and piping a V pattern, squeezing to make the lines thick at the end and then releasing my pressure as I come to the center to help it to taper off into a thinner point. I am repeating this over and over again until I come full circle around the cake and mate the ends together. I put some of the remaining Biscoff cookie butter into a plastic bag and microwaved it about 10 seconds to soften it. Then I snipped a corner out of my bag and proceeded to zigzag it across the top of the cake to give it this really fun design. Then I sprinkle a few more of my leftover pecans around the top, and this cake looks absolutely beautiful.
And there we have it, our fabulous pecan pie cake. Thank you for joining me. I had an absolute blast and I hope you did too. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments section below, and I will see you next week on Boxed But Better with Genna. Welcome to my channel where we make gourmet tasting cakes. 1 second. Let's try that again.
No, we should run with that one.
We should go with that one? Okay.